Hi,
Hi,
Dabboo. How are
hi,
you
how you doing?
doing?
Very well. How you been? Good?
Very well. Super excited for this.
Same here. Thank you so much.
So, before anyone I start off with my questions. I've been the privileged one where you've shot me when I was a kid. I was into acting myself, and
Oh,
you've
wow.
shot one of my ads with Kailash.
Oh,
So,
lovely.
with
Which
KPC
which
and
ad
with
was it?
Fair. So, this was for Rotamac Pen.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. Oh,
Yes,
lovely.
so when I was a little girl, I think 7, 8 years, you've shot me at that point. I think my mom, Anita Isrrani, is
Yeah, I
something.
know Neeta. Of course, I know
Yes,
her.
so I'm her daughter. So it just makes the conversation a little easier. That I've always,
It makes me sound very old though.
but your,
But it's
but
true.
your, but your work completely. I think you've gone reverse in age. Firstly, let me ask you that you've kind of cut half your size. You
Yes,
you
I've
kind of
been
look
working
reverse in age.
working hard on that.
How do you do that?
Uh, Honestly, one day stood on the weighing scale. I was in like the mid three digits, like over like almost 115 kilos. And I said, but this is the last day, I want to see myself this size, this weight. And I joined the gym the next morning. And there's been no looking back since then. After that, I've kind of got quite obsessive with fitness, to be honest.
Right.
And I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy gymming. I enjoy kind of feeling fit. I feel that even in terms of the career, it helps me in terms of to be more agile to, you know, go to various locations. Sometimes you're on a low angle, sometimes you're lying down. Your knees feel better. So I'm feeling much, much healthier and I'm feeling great. I think physical fitness also is important to be,
True.
a good photographer.
True. I completely agree to that. And I think a lot of credit goes, oh, that's your son over there.
Yes. Shivan
Hi.
has come to say hi. It's his norm. He comes to say hi in every live of mine.
Oh, wow. So I think, is he like, you always had this lucky mascot, right? From your calendars have always had your lucky mascots being there.
Right, right.
Your wife has been pretty instrumental in your career, and she also works with you. Tell us, how is that to have your wife working with you, and the career graph has been superb.
It's been amazing. She's been working with me. I think 6 months after we got married is approximately when she started working with me. And initially, I would have made her start much earlier as well, but I had heard a lot of scary stories, a lot of advice from people saying that, it doesn't work well when your wife works with you.
Right, right.
So, still, I'll tell you a story. I mean, she was working with Times of India and in the marketing department, and she came one day. It was her holiday, and I was shooting in my studio, and she said, "I'll come there." I said, "Great, please come." So she was sitting in my cabin, and she answered in one day about over 1,000 emails which I had not replied to. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So she cleaned out my whole inbox. I said, okay, that's it. You're not going back to work. That was your last day yesterday. So because I realized that it's so helpful that when
Hey, that's your little girl. God.
Kiara, yeah, yeah. So all three will come one by one to say hello. So yeah, so after that, I said, it's amazing because I, cannot imagine working without you now. So I mean, it was like absolutely amazing. And since that day, she started working with me. She put in her resignation, and it worked out really, really well because it was so helpful. You to have someone you can
Right,
trust.
right,
Someone who's going to take care of everything. You don't have to stress about any kind of loyalty about I mean how
right,
assistants come to just use your name and
right.
etc etc. So it was amazing, and now she handles pretty much everything. So I can focus just on the creative. I can just focus on my concepts, and she handles everything else.
And I think when you said that she has a marketing background, I think that also
Yeah,
adds to a lot in terms of, because you've been shooting right from covers to a lot of brand shoots and then a lot
right,
of celebrities. And I'm sure these celebrities come with a lot more which people aren't aware about, but a lot more handling apart from the creative art that you put across to their pictures.
right.
How much
I
does
also
she?
I see. I feel with actors or with models or whoever I've worked with, I think it's a lot to do with your personal rapport and the kind of vibe that you've treat them with. You know, I feel for me, there when I luckily when I started my career, I wasn't starstruck or anything. For me, it was something that uh, I took them as friends, and
Right.
I've known them since that era, and we have all literally grown together in the industry, you know. I mean, apart from Mr. Bachchan, I think everybody has been kind of
Has been
been
seeing you
growing
grow.
up with
Right.
me, with Ritik, Abhishek, Akshay, Arjun. Everybody has kind of grown in time as we have progressed.
Right.
Just one
But
sec,
you,
one sec, one sec, one
yeah.
sec.
Hi, how are you doing? I love the hairdo that you've done. Wow.
Yeah,
So you
so
have a full, I'm sure you've been enjoying this quarantine period. Your kids are getting more of you,
I
which
honestly,
anyways, they've
I'm
always
quite
been
a,
around you.
yeah, I'm quite a homebird anyway. I mean, in the younger days, we've done that, partied, I mean, all that stuff, so when for me right now, my life really shuttles between work, studio, and home and the family. I mean, really, that's what I prefer and that's what I do. And, I only go out and party and socialize only if I really have to.
Have to do it. Right.
Otherwise, I don't bother going out.
I'm sure with the kind of commitments that you come with and with the kind of industry that revolves around you, there must be so much more that you really have to draw a line at some point in time saying that this is priority and this isn't, right?
Yeah, but see, that's what people, photographers and other people who join us don't really realize that. You know, they feel that our life is so glamorous and our life is so, we are meeting these people and we're meeting all these actors and we don't realize the amount of
Yeah, right.
hard work that goes into it and the sacrifice that goes into it. You know, it started off as a joke with my friends used to be saying that, क्या करता है? तुझे तो खाली उंगली हिलानी पड़ती है पैसे आ जाते हैं.
Oh, ask.
Yeah, but there's so much pressure. There's so much of even to sustain for 25 years. I mean, it's something uh, you can't. It's not easy to digest because you need to kind of keep evolving, keep pushing yourself, keep
Right.
experimenting. And today, after social media, after digital photography, there's so many new people coming into the industry. And
Do that.
uh, they come with so many assumptions. Photographers have lost the patience because I'm from the film days. We started our career
Right.
on film photography. So I think patience is one of the virtues that you need to have as a photographer. It should be in the biodata as being a photographer.
As I think as being one of the major skill sets, I think that should
Yeah,
come as your skill set
it
that
should.
one really needs to have is very rightly. Dabu, really wanting to know, how did you think of becoming a photographer? Because back in days it wasn't one of the most sought of careers. It was a plunge. It was like every father had a dream that his son should become a doctor, engineer. I'm sure
Yeah,
you fought
absolutely.
that battle too. uh,
Uh, it was a dream of every parent, like you rightly said that. But luckily, I didn't have to fight a battle. My parents were like amazingly supportive, and even in the 80s, my brother gave up the family business to become a chef. He started doing hotel management, which was unheard of in those days. And
totally.
then the second son gives up the business to become a photographer. So but what I explained to my parents is that in my 12th grade that I have 3 years of college left, and those 3 years, instead of attending college, I'll assist a photographer. His name was Sumit Chopra,
Yeah.
and he knew, I mean, he's a family friend, so he kind of parents knew him as well. And
Right.
I kind of said, okay, I went in my 12th, during my 12th, before my exams, before my HSC exams, I went and met him and I said, Sumit, I'm really interested in photography, but I don't know at this point whether it's my career choice
It has
because
become your
I
calling, right?
don't really, yeah, and I don't even know, once I was so intimidated when I walked into his studio and seeing those huge blow ups and that sharpness of pictures and those equipment, I was blown. I said that, how will I ever reach this level? I mean, it's not possible. And so I was very scared. So at that point, I told him, I'm not sure how much, I can. Uh, he's saying that, that he had gone to Brooks Institute in Santa Barbara. And I said, I can't afford to go abroad for a course to a middle class family. And
Right.
so he said, you come to me for 3 years. At the 3 years that I spent in Brooks, and you learn a lot more because
Wow.
and obviously it was the best decision for me to at that point. And 3 years later, when my friends were just graduating from the college, from MMK college, and I had
Yeah.
already almost launched myself as a photographer, so it felt great. So it was honestly a passion which kind of turned into a career, and I think that's the best thing that happened to me.
Wow, that's an amazing. I think assisting really gets you to learn some of the inside traits which I think no school teaches you, which I think no
Totally.
book or no online course can really offer you up until you don't lift those lights, you don't hold those flashes around for
Yeah,
someone who's seen.
but also saying that, there's you have to have you have to be really attentive. I mean,
Right.
uh, I feel that, I mean, not trying to brag or anything, but I was so keen to learn. I was so inquisitive, I mean, in terms of, in a good way, to learn. uh, I
Right.
I I literally started filing his negatives. I started organizing his studio because I found him also that, with Sumit, that we used to just focus on the shoot. I used to
Right.
party with him. I used to like everything. He was like a friend. So, then I started actually filing his negatives, contact sheets, transparencies in those days. And I learned so much by looking at his behind the scene pictures, actual shots on
Right.
how shoots are done. Today we have access to it because of the internet. Those days there was no internet.
There was no
Those,
internet, right?
so there was, so I had so much access to those insights of, okay, how he shot black and white, how he color toned them. In back in the day, there was something called cross processing, where we used to shoot transparencies and process them in chemicals of negatives. So how that would
Right.
react. So I learned so much by even watching those negatives. And for me, I'm so buzzed even now about it. That I want to keep trying something. So I try to keep achieving those cross processing tones even in my through my softwares now in the new
Right.
images. So for me, I mean, I just feel that the new breed of photographers miss that enthusiasm. I miss that kind of, uh, they want to be somebody to learn. I like, for me, when I committed 3 years with Sumit, but I stayed for 4. Nowadays, people commit 3 years and just last for 3 months.
Right, right. I think what you said, patience is one of the key takeaways from today's
Right,
conversation that one really needs to hold on. And like, I think you've been a very observant person in terms of observing what he did in front and what he did behind is where you've made a graph for yourself.
right,
Dabu, I remember as a child, I used to wait every January 2025th on Isrrani Communication, used to get this calendar which was
right,
like the most amazing thing that one would look forward to. It used to be on our tables. And
right.
tell me, how did you think of doing a calendar? And I think that was only for yourself. It's not a commercial calendar.
No, it's
You've
not. It's
always done a calendar for yourself, showing your art and showing uh, the work that you've been doing. How did you
correct.
think of this concept? And because people don't do work for themselves anymore. It's more, if you get paid for it, then I'll do it. But calendar since day one, and I remember you may be doing copies and copies because every ad
Yes.
agency used to
It was a
have it.
huge investment. It was a huge investment. It still is a big investment, but those days where I started off like a nobody
Right.
and I didn't have any backing in terms of money from my family, so I literally did everything by myself. And making a calendar also was a huge decision to put 1,000 copies of the first calendar way back in
Wow.
1999, which was 2000, the year 2000. Y2K was everybody was talking about year 2000, and everybody wanted to do something different for that. Everybody was making diaries. So that's where the calendar
Idea.
concept came about,
Okay.
and I just picked up 12 pictures that I had shot between 94 till that current day, 99, and I kind of put them out there. And Buy Designs is an ad agency who designed the calendar for me, and literally printed 1,000 copies. I mean, paid the printer also in installments because it was a big investment for me,
I can
and
imagine.
and I didn't have money for courier. I personally drove every area. So I used to go to Churchgate and finish
Wow.
distributing calendars to each one personally. I
Are you
remember those days.
serious? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's a
Absolutely.
lot of hard work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it worked out well, because, you know, but what happened was that in that kind of it also had a lot of personal connections happened during that. When you go and deliver the calendar with your hand to the owner of the agency, he was so
Right.
touched, and he was like, you connect on a personal level, and that got me a lot more work, got me a lot more shoots, and
Got
such
it.
encouragement that I wanted to do the following calendar. Or first calendar had only 12 girls, so all the men were saying, now why not us?
Right.
So then for the
Right.
following year, I actually started shooting with 12 boys and 12 girls, and it's
Right.
21 years later, and it's still going well.
Tell me one thing. How do you pick on to the kind of faces that you want to have? Because I've always wondered that isn't this a battle for you because you only have 24 faces to shoot with, and
Yeah,
your
it is.
horizons are so wide with actors. Do they really get disappointed that, oh, Dabboo hasn't? Because now it's like a prestige issue also, right? Like I feel like a lot of burden would go across and say, hey, this year I'm not a part of it. And I'm sure like you had Preeti Zinta at some points so
Right,
evidently, and then today you have Kiara, who's one of the youngest stars. So
right.
you've kind of also grown to kind of work with the younger actors across. How
Yeah.
challenging?
So every year I try and change the list by at least two, three people. Uh, it kind of happens, it happens in a way that uh, we make a wish list of, like, for me, relationships are very important. I think that's kind of kept me going for these 25 years, the kind of rapport and the relation that I've built over with people. And so first I'll always contact the, like, 24 of the people who I'm working a lot with or I've shot a lot with. And, we may also make that wish list. It's not necessary that everyone's available in that November, December, so there are
Right.
always, then you get a kind of a reward from them that, okay, this year looks tough, or
Got it.
I can't do the November, December, or they're in a particular look which they can't
Which they
reveal.
cannot reveal. Right.
So,
Right.
so that those kind of situations also have happened, and then I keep a provision, that for two, three new names, so that it kind of
Right.
refreshes the list also. Uh, so there have been few actors who have been a part of the calendar, and then for whatever reason didn't do 2, 3 years. Like for instance, Saif is in this 2020 calendar, and he's
Right.
not been there in the last two, three calendars before that. And
Got it.
similarly, where Karina's been there in the past earlier, then she did a few more, and then she's not been there again this year. So it
Right.
the automatically, I mean, I think God has his way of refreshing
Has
the
this,
list.
so you don't land up damaging anyone's sentiments, and I think that's very very important for the
It's
with the
it's
kind
it's
of
happened.
relation.
It's happened.
It's
It's
happened,
happened.
right?
Yes,
It's,
happened. It kind
I'm
of uh,
sure
you
because
get
every
to
time
hear
I
of
used to
it.
see it, and I used to be like, why is like I've seen Ritik there on most
He's
of
been in
your.
all of them.
He's been there since all of them,
Yeah.
and then there's been some names which come by. So I've been an avid
But but
watcher.
also, like people like Ritik, Akshay, Shahrukh, Mr. Bachchan, Aishwarya, all these have been very, very regular. That's also because I shoot a lot with them anyways. When you're shooting ad
Got
campaigns, you're shooting a lot of work with them for magazines, something or the other. It's like,
right,
so you get a
right,
lot of opportunity to plan your shoots with them. That's that also. And what happens is that uh, since it's a non-commercial project, you can't force anybody,
right,
it's also subject to their availability, their time, how they are, what state of mind that they are in, they want to do it, don't want to do it. So I can't push anybody because I'm not paying
Right.
money for it, you know, and I'm not commercializing it at the same time. So, uh, I don't know. It sometimes just happens. It's obviously I've got into some awkward situations in the past, but
Right.
I
I'm
mean,
sure.
but
I'm sure.
what does one do? Yeah.
I'm sure because it's been, I think, the most, I don't think anyone else does what you've done. And you've kept it
Right.
so consistent for 21 years, like you said, that it's more like a prestige issue now that one wants
Right.
to just be on that calendar. Dabu, coming back to my next question is that how do you deal with the technology that you've seen back in times and now markets have evolved? We'll further seeing trends changing from year on with the
Right.
COVID-19 being impacted. How do you see the changing times and how adaptable have you been with realizing that today we use Macs? Back in time when you started doing, there were your reels and there were different ways of working. You used to make albums and used to give people, I remember people
Correct.
used to come to you for their first portfolios. I think
Portfolio. Right.
I think portfolios, now people don't do portfolios anymore. How have you
Yeah.
seen this trend changing across?
So, coming from the film days to digital, I moved around 2004 properly to digital. And around 2002, 2003, I had got one digital camera, but those days uh, it was 6 megapixel, 12 megapixel, and I could not see like the uh, the resolution and the kind of clarity and the look that I was getting with film. Initially, I couldn't see it coming in the digital. It used to look too digital. You know what I'm saying? It's too
Right, too
pixel.
fabricated, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Initially, so but in 2004 is when I kind of got a digital back for my Hasselblad camera. It was called Leaf,
Okay.
Leaf,
Okay.
and that's when I saw amazing results. You know, I said, okay, and now I feel that it's time to kind of move to the digital. I was amongst the like maybe the first five photographers to kind of move to the digital full-fledged,
Wow.
and there was a lot of controversies. There was a lot of fighting. A lot of people didn't want to go. It was a huge investment. I mean, for
Right.
people
Right.
who had so much equipment to move to a digital format, some of the lenses were not compatible. Some of the cameras are not compatible. So it was a huge decision. I got a lot of flack from other photographer friends as well. But I felt that, if I don't move with the time, I don't want to be one of those guys who've left behind or one of the guys who've kind of not moved along with time. So
Right.
it happened to a bunch of photographers during that time, and I didn't want to be one of those. So I decided early, and I put in that money, I put in that investment, and I literally, I mean, I'm a huge gizmo guy anyway. I love
Okay.
to
You love
experiment
gadgets.
with, yeah,
And
I love gadgets. And for me, today if I get a new lens also, even in today, after 25 years later in the industry, if I get a new lens, if I get a new reflector, or if I get a new anything, like any new accessory, it excites me to do
it
something
excites.
new, something different. I feel like let's try this, let's do this. I've not done this kind of this kind of lighting with this actor. Let me try this. So for me, I'm still learning, I'm still experimenting. So I was one of those guys who wanted to kind of move to digital. And to be honest, now when I look back, in fact, during this last 1 month, I've been home and I got some of the hard drives home from the studio. I've been trying to organize all my data, and I'm so glad that I moved to digital because I have all access to all images since
All your
2004.
images.
Since
Right.
2004, I have everything which I'm reprocessing, re-editing, and they look
Ah,
completely different because the softwares in 2004 and
but
now
different. Right.
is huge
Right.
difference. The
It's a
softwares
huge
have
difference.
grown so much. Your sharpness, your colors, everything is so much better now that your same images which 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you were shooting now and you're kind of reprocessing, they look
Right.
absolutely amazing.
I
So
think, yeah, I think that's a great advice to all the photographers watching you there. I think bring out all your old data, reprocess it, make it look current and so relevant in today's time. And I'm sure
right.
magic could also be created from that, which currently, clearly, you've been doing that the right way also. Uh, Coming to something very fun, because Pokerbazi has got us to do this great chat. Are you into poker, Dabu, at all, or that's not your scene?
Very, very little. I mean, I play on the Facebook that Zynga poker or whatever. Sometimes, very very rarely. Because
Very,
in fact,
very.
I re-downloaded the app very recently, actually.
Okay, okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting. How have you been spending time with your kids? I'm sure they would be driving you to doing all the crazy father stuff, or
So
they've been pretty.
I actually taught them a bit of the poker, to be honest.
Oh,
Although they're
really?
very young for it, I kind of they see me playing it, so I play for it like 10 minutes a day or 15 minutes, just for when you're in between, in the afternoon or in the evening when you're tired of
Right.
watching the computer screen, just to distract myself. I'll play for 15 minutes or whatever. So they also join me and watch, and I'll try to explain to them, why which hand is bigger, which it's I think and with the kids, they're very curious, and uh, like
I'm sure they're
that they've been
your kids.
coming.
They have to be curious. First of all, they're your kids, so they better be curious. But
And
I'm
in
sure they'll have
today's
double
day
of
and
that.
age, and today's
Yes.
kids are much more well informed than we were. They have so much more access, and and they've been coming for my shoots. They've been spending so much time with me. So uh, even when they were like newborns, and like 1 year old, 2 year old, if they had any question, we've been very honest to answer it rather than saying,
Right. This is not for your
telling
age. Yeah.
yeah, or even if they don't understand, I used to kind of we one of the doctors when Myra was born told us that they have that in their subconscious. They'll remember things. So if you talk rubbish to them, talk that totla language to them, all that it will reflect in their character. So
Right.
today, even if she's 1 year old and 1.5 year old, and she'll ask me a complicated questions about a cockpit of an aeroplane, I will give her the correct answer.
Got
And
it.
and
Got
I
it.
feel that that helps kids to evolve, because 2 3 years later she will remember and say, Dad, this is the cockpit and this is this and this is that.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Completely
we think they
agree.
don't understand, but there will be a time when they will have a flashback of that same conversation and they'll give it back to you. So
Right.
in that way, I've been very open with the kids, and I've been very uh, informative in whatever they need to know. So whether it's
Right.
poker, whether it is uh, anything, I mean, about a movie scene, I mean, we've been spending a lot of time together because everybody's home. They've
Right.
been homeschooling. So first couple of days when they were, so the whole from morning 9 to about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30 in the afternoon, my MacBook is my son's MacBook. He uses it.
Okay. Oh
Manisha's
wow.
MacBook has become Kiara's MacBook, and my iMac, which has come from the studio, is Myra's
Is-
computer. So
oh
they
my
are
God.
they are all in their 3 rooms doing their own thing. So first few days we spent explaining that to them and setting them up in terms of their systems, and and then then in the evening we make videos together. We have some fun together. We
I
do some
know there have
TikTok.
been so many
Yeah.
comments which have been coming that you're great at TikTok and you've been killing it with some amazing videos
Yeah,
of
we've
yours. So
been having fun with them because I feel they shouldn't have a meltdown. They are so used to being outdoors and playing football and doing their thing and going for classes and meeting friends. So I don't
right.
want them to kind of start getting any negative impact of this whole thing. So we kind of entertain them and keep ourselves entertained as well.
Right. Tell me, do you see any of your kids becoming a photographer, taking ahead of
They
your
already
legacy? Do
are.
you
They,
feel there's a
they already are photographers. You ask all
yeah?
three of them, all three of them will say we are photographers already.
Wow.
So they have
But on a
a
very serious note, do you see someone becoming an actor? Do you have like do you see one of them has an inclination to because they've been surrounded since like
I
I
think
think since
all
when they
three
were
of
in the
them,
womb.
all three of them have a creative flair for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, what they end up doing, becoming photographers or actors, I wouldn't like my parents supported me. Similarly, I will support them in whatever they want to do. I'm not going to force them to do something that they don't want to. So, to be honest, uh, I mean, they can do whatever they want to. They have a creative flair for sure. They have, they're kids right now. They're 7, 8, and 10. So they keep kind of every few months they have a new
Every
career
few
in mind.
months coming up with a
Yeah,
different idea, I'm sure.
yeah. But I'm
Uh,
sure they will enjoy photography. They already enjoy photography. They have a Fuji
right.
Instax, that Insta X, the Polaroid one. So they
Right,
keep.
right. Um, Tell me something. Being, I think they are kids to a star photographer. Like, do you see a lot of pressure in them once they kind of grow up and take up careers? Because like how we see, there's a lot of pressure on celebrity kids and star kids. There's a certain amount. And how do they deal with this? Like, how would you guide them to deal with this?
No, I don't think it's going to be having such a major impact on them because you know photography is it's not about it's a very either you have it or not. It's a very creative thing, I mean, I don't think that kind of a pressure would be on
Would be
any
relevant.
on any yeah. It's not an actors are very huge and they're kind of that complex is kind of a different thing, I mean, it's
Right.
and the expectation is more mass oriented
I think
where
more
people expect
visibility also gets them.
yeah,
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 I think more visibility also gets them.
correct,
Coming
correct.
to my next question, how who's the actor that you've been waiting to shoot? Is there someone on your list that you've not shot with, and you think that okay, this is the next one that I want to have in
I'm
front
not
of
sure
your
Sarah.
camera?
I'm not sure Sarah Ali Khan yet. I mean,
Okay.
I've not worked with her because the last year when my calendar work was going on, both her films released back to back, so she was busy with promotions and stuff, so we couldn't coordinate a time. But
Yeah.
maybe next calendar.
Next calendar. How do you keep yourself abreast during this time with having kept in mind that there's so much competition. Back in times, there weren't so many options. Now there's so
Right.
much and more options. A lot of international photographers have also taken a little bit of the work pie, that I would say that they started doing covers, which back in times used to not happen. How do you keep yourself out there and abreast with technology and abreast with the kind of work that you do?
Uh, I think I've always been a believer that if you're good, you get your fair share of work. I mean,
Right.
seeing that, I mean, for me, like I said, it it I'm for me, I treat my when I go for a shoot, even now, I treat myself as a newcomer. I don't go with the baggage of being a photographer for 25 years. For me, I still feel that you know. There's never a time where you can call yourself number one or the best. Then after that, what otherwise? I feel that there's always scope to learn. There's always, you know, God has his ways. Yeah, I mean, I don't really feel. It bothers me when I lose a shoot even now. I mean, today if a
It
shoot goes
bothers
from
you?
my hand, yeah, it bothers me. I don't like it. I mean, I prefer, and sometimes a shoot will come and the same day another shoot will come. I will always think of can I be at two places at the same time? Can I do that in the morning and come here in the evening and do it? I always offer that. Okay, can we change the timing a bit? Can we do? I'll finish that shoot by 2 o'clock. Can I do 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock onwards? For me, I love to shoot. So it bothers me when a shoot is goes
Is
away from my
lost.
hand. Even now.
So wow, that's great to know that it's not we youngsters who only feel it, and it's not we uh, like who are newcomers in the industry. It's great to know that even the insecurity is yet alive, and
No,
it
but I
yet
think
wants to
that
make you
I
work
think
harder.
that's good. Yeah, I think that being insecure is good. I mean, if you're scared of losing that job, you're scared of not impressing your model or your actor. I feel that the insecurity is good for you to kind of grow and evolve as well.
Right. Tell me one thing. This is a very personal question. I've always been intrigued to know that your dog has had a very, very important role to play in all your calendars. What's that story?
This new puppy we've got has just been a year, so he's been a part of this dog. Now you said you asked me the
Right.
dog, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So my older one, who was there with me for 13 years, did feature in a lot of shoots. Yes, it was
Lot of shoots. Like
a
he's
lot of
like a
shoots. Yeah,
celebrity.
yeah, absolutely. And we've his name was Flash, like camera flashes, and so is the younger one. Also, his name is Flash, the new guy also.
Oh
So we
wow.
kept the same name. Flash Junior is here. So basically, it's like a second kid. I mean, to say it's when you get a puppy, you get a dog, you have to literally treat it like your own kid. There's an amazing bond, and with the older one who was with me for 13 plus years, he used to hang out with me. This was before I even got married. So literally, for the first, I used when I got the first one. He was a boxer, and I went to the vet, and she told me, first 3 months is very crucial. You need to do this. You need to train him. You need to uh, make sure that he doesn't eat rubbish. He doesn't eat this. He chew
My
up
God,
this. All those do's and don'ts of
do's and
dogs came to
don'ts,
me.
right?
So first 3 months, I did not go out one night. I mean, that's the
Wow,
kind
what
of,
a sacrifice.
yeah, I mean, I say, whoever friends want to meet, come to my place. I'm not going out for the first 3 months, and until all his vaccinations are done, he's safe. Till I find a guy who can take him down for the walks after that. That's when I started moving out, and so he used to literally
Wow,
go with me every morning to shoot my studio, come back with me every evening after the shoot was packing up.
beautiful. That's
In, in those days, most shoots used to happen in my own studio. That now the trend of going to Mehboob or Film City or this stuff has come up. But in those days, everybody used to come to my studio to shoot. So
right.
I he used to be with me all the time. He used to know all the actors knew him. All the actors used to come and take pictures with him. It was, so he's always been in that. Similarly, after that, my kids have been coming, and now this Flash is coming. So it's. I think
Nice.
it's a very family bonding kind of a scene.
Nice. We look forward to seeing your Flash very, very soon with all the nice covers that you've been doing and all the nice calendar shoots. Quickly
Thank
wanting to know a little bit more uptight and up close the Daboo Ratnani in person. A quick rapid fire. What's your favorite current song?
you. Gungru from War.
What? Who's your favorite actor that you love shooting with?
My
Tricky,
favorite
but
actor, very very tricky, but I'll say Akshay Kumar. Yeah.
wow. Which is your recent favorite movie?
Recent favorite movie. I saw Super 30 the other day. I had missed it when it released. I was traveling, but I loved
Right.
it when I just saw it that day on television.
Your favorite destination, travel destination.
New York, without a doubt.
Okay. Would you prefer poker or would you prefer cricket?
Cricket.
Cricket.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the one wish list that you have for the coming 2020?
My wish list for 2020, first of all, to get out of this, this terrible. I wish I could erase 2020. I mean, it's like been it's been such a bad,
I know.
start to the year. And in fact, my calendar couriers were going out, and we actually had to stop that. So people haven't received
Haven't
my
seen.
calendars also. Yeah. So, uh, I mean, I'm just hoping that we heal from this sooner. That's my only wish currently.
Right. What's your one quick advice to the newcomer photographers who've always aspired to be you, be at the stature that you've reached, and people just see the gloomy side of it and the glossy side of it. What's your one advice to them?
My one piece of advice would be that do it for the art, don't do it for the glamour. I mean, don't think, just don't think you want to meet the actors or you want to meet women or you want to meet, don't do it for the wrong reasons. Yeah. Do it for the love of photography.
What's your go-to food like?
My sin would be biryani. I mean, I love biryani as my sin food. Otherwise, I'm more of a healthy food guy. I prefer eating grills, and I prefer just out of choice. I mean, I think it's just become my lifestyle to eat more healthy food and my food that my brother cooks.
Okay. Someone's very like it's a very interesting question. What's the camera that you're recently using and what is it that you're hooked to? Which is your equipment?
So currently, I'm signed up with Fujifilm, and I love my Fujifilm GFX 100. It's a medium format camera, and that's my major obsession right now. And I also have the Fujifilm X-T3. That's a crop sensor camera, but it's great to it's mirrorless. It's small. It's great to use when you're traveling or you're doing outdoor shoots or you're doing street stuff or you're doing like portfolios and stuff like that.
Right, right. To my last question, what is the biggest takeaway that this lockdown has taught you during this point in time?
The biggest takeaway I would think is, to work from home. I think that's something that we used to not do as photographers. Uh, Lots of like even your pre-production meetings, your so much I mean, time we used to spend going halfway through town to kind of just even do a production meeting and stuff. I think everything can happen online. So I think even after the lockdown's over, people will kind of stay with that a little more, because
Right. I
you can
completely
conference with
agree.
50 people at the same time, and rather than going to offices and wasting time and kind of so I think
I think
that's
in
one.
Mumbai, by the time one reaches their office, they're already exhausted. So
Absolutely.
I think the work from home culture will surely develop from here on. And I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's
here
not
to stay for
like
sure. And also in terms of, I
totally
think, I think overall, people will stop going to cafes as much. People will stop using these places, where these teamwork, what are those offices called, where you kind of rent
co-working spaces. You
co-working
like a lot of
spaces. Yeah.
co-working
I
spaces.
think
Yeah.
people are going to use that even less now. Just, accessorize your one corner of the house and get a nice table and a background, and you're good to
And
go
you're
to wherever
sorted.
you
Yeah.
are.
And you're completely sorted. Are you planning to open a photography school? Someone's asking you. Have you ever thought of that? I'm sure you must be approached by a million
Yeah,
people to
I've been
do this.
approached by many people. I'm looking at it. I've got a few offers where but because uh, I'm very worried about my brand, and in terms of wherever I like to put my name, I want to make sure it's a correct space. I'm paranoid, I mean, it's tricky, but even now, where every picture that goes out from my studio, every picture that is emailed out from my space, I have to personally look at it. I have to, even if it's a portfolio shoot, I go through the selection. I, it's just that I don't want my name to get ruined, and there's a certain amount of expectation when a
Versus,
picture goes
right,
out from
right.
Daboo Ratnani. So even with the photography school, I'll only sign up and I'll only tie up when I'm 100% sure of the faculty. I'm 100% sure of what the course is going to be, so that people don't. It shouldn't fall short of expectations. Only then I will sign up with that. But that's my policy with everything. Even with when I signed on Fuji. I used the camera for 3 months before I signed up and said yes to them. Because I said that
Right.
if I'm putting my name behind it, I don't want to do it just for the money or just for free equipment or etc. etc.
Yeah, just for
So
the brand. You want to be,
yeah,
yeah, you want to be loving the product that you use every day
using absolutely.
eventually.
And
Uh,
whatever I'm putting my
what
name onto, it should be something reliable, basically.
Right. Where do you draw your inspiration from? Because you've been reinventing for time and again. And what is it that you feel is inspiration to you even today? Like, where do you drive that source?
So being a fashion and celebrity photographer, I also follow a lot of fashion blogs to see what the trends are going on worldwide. I also, and I think you can get inspiration from pretty much everything. I mean, the many concepts that I do, I like I'm going for a walk, or I'm down the road, or I'll see something, I'll see an interesting prop, I'll write it down, or I'll take a picture of it. That okay, like I once I was walking down and I was getting my car tire repaired, So I saw
Right.
this truck that came in which took away like 100 old tires, and I said that imagine 100 of these torn tires will make kind of such a cool backdrop. So things like that. I mean, you can get inspiration from pretty much anything and everything. And similarly, I mean, you may see an interesting scene in a movie, maybe lyrics from a song. Uh, it has something has to kind of trigger off a concept, trigger off an idea,
Wow.
and you have to
That's
just
it.
work on that basically. Yeah. So I honestly never have found, like people keep saying that I reached a block and I can't think. I've never reached that stage. I feel that, with everything, like when today I'll go to a restaurant and before eating the food or I'll look at the restaurant and say, wow, nice space.
Interiors.
Let's
Yeah.
plan a shoot here. I mean, I'll speak to the manager and say, okay, I want to do a shoot here. How do I get in touch with the owner? How do I get permission to shoot? So my mind works
Brilliant.
in that, kind of.
Brilliant. That is totally beautiful. Thank you so much for talking
My
to us.
pleasure.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sparing this time for Pokerbazi and for 7 Entertainment. You've been
Thank you.
fantastic. I've loved and I've learned a lot more than loved. I think I've learned so much from you. You've been such an institution of the best photography that Indian cinema could have ever had. So thank you for
Thank
being
you.
what you do. And yeah, we can't wait to see your calendar. I think now you should do an e-version of the calendar for
I've done it.
sure.
I've done a PDF version which I've been sending to my friends because some of them who didn't receive the calendar kept messaging me, so I've sent it on them on email now. Yeah.
Perfect. We look forward to seeing that. And thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us today.
My
And
pleasure.
thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Thank you
Bye.
everybody
Thank
for
you.
watching. All the
Thank you.
best. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you.